is a series of developer-focused questions, and the first one is from Bad Mad Man on Dragon Den. Do you still plan on building out on multiple clouds? So my answer in Den was yes. We're looking very much at Microsoft Azure, of course, as well as Google, but we are right now weighing those deployments against open sourcing the core platform. So right now we think that open sourcing of the core platform is a little more important, but at the same time, right now at least, if any customer comes in, we already have on-prem, so we can very easily transition to any other cloud that might be necessary. So it's all good. Second question, what is a unique digital asset, and can you give some examples on how to develop an app around that? So it's a little vague of a question, but I can definitely give a set of examples, and I could talk for days on this really, but as an example, the Dragon Den economy is based upon a few different digital assets, some of which are externalized, some of which are internalized, not tradable, things like that. Every one geared to a certain purpose, and it's really interesting, and I'm hoping to come up with some ways to standardize the way that we design the economy, do the token economy documentation, where you can look at it from any angle. That is, I want to incentivize my users to do X, therefore, as a part of the feature of one or the token, we are going to add Y. And from the other angle, that we're going to say, okay, here's the token, and here are all of the individual features of that token, and why is each feature there, right? And some of them are, well, all of them are based upon utility, right? That is, I want it to do this for this reason, but there are some aspects that are based upon value, which if something is, in the case that something is externally tradable, you have to know if there's volatility, will it affect the utility? Because as an example in Den, if I'm going to vote, if the voting itself is tokenized, let's see, fast forward 5 years, and let's say we have a ton of adoption, it's amazing. The value of the token is 300 times what it was at the beginning, then all of a sudden nobody's going to use it to vote, because nobody's going to throw away value. I'm not going to spend $5 just to vote on something I think is good content. So what we did there is we separated value token from an internal token, maintaining a scarcity, so we don't have Reddit where you just upvote everything and there's no cost to you, karma isn't real. Instead, what we're saying is you have some scarcity based upon your value token, where we generate, so the value token in Den is matter, and the in-app used token is internal, not tradable, is energy. So matter produces energy, but there's a built-in scarcity to it, and the more that you have proven to be a good and valuable user, the more energy you end up having. Yet at the same time, a brand new user who's totally unproven has the ability to at least try the system out, play with it, try to create good content, try to evaluate content, and properly be a good user. So those are two angles, and there's, this goes on forever, but the main point being that every feature of a token, and sometimes a single token will have multiple features, sometimes it'll have one, but every one needs to be driven towards some angle of incentive for the user. What do you want the user to be doing? In the case of Den, it's telling the truth, providing good content, helping us evaluate better content, things like that. For Academy, it is we want to incentivize, on the one hand, for people to learn things and prove that they learned them, and on the other hand, to teach, right? So interesting stuff. There's all types of really neat things you can do, and that's really, in the end, the key core feature that makes blockchain and cryptocurrency what it is. That's why it's valuable. That's why it will be radically more valuable. That's why adoption will come, no matter what we do, no matter how many times we screw up, no matter how many times the governments try to kill it, it's still going to work. Next question. Where do you see the future of the commercial platform? That is the Dragonchain commercial platform. The intent of it, the vision of it, is still where I see its future, which is a very generic model for a blockchain platform that lets people do what they want to do. I always pin it to early internet. Like I said, when we were at Disney, people would ask, where should we not use this tech, right? And it was hard to answer, right? Because it's a hard thing to answer. And it finally came to that that's the wrong question. That's like asking in the early 90s, where should we not use the internet, right? And that's absolutely backwards. And we know that now, right? That the whole purpose of the internet is to create what amounted to a marketplace of websites. You have some websites that were up that were just, especially back then, just informational. There was no e-commerce. It was basically, oh, I can read about X, or I can communicate with someone about something else. But no one would have, at that time, would have expected what we now see, right? And so I think very much that this technology is in that same place, that you need to make it as flexible as possible. You need to make it possible to build things that I, Joe, never would have envisioned that you would want to build, right? And that's the whole point of it. And I think we have that. We tested it against so many things there and so many things since that I've not found any heavy anything we did wrong, right? So in the architecture itself, right? Next question. Why is proof of existence and transaction validations so important? This is interesting because this is another point of what the technology is capable of, and that we don't really see people using it for that yet. And that is for things like risk management and proof that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a business or a person, right? And that is basically that before Bitcoin, humanity had no way to measure the likelihood that what I'm telling you I said on a certain date is really what I said on a certain date, right? You could say it, but you'd always have to have some level of trust, or trust whoever stored it, or hope that I'm not playing some game and paying them off to produce different evidence, whatever else. And we still live in that world, really, because legal still works that way. It's bizarre. It's bizarre what goes on in the real world, that there is no proof, but people hope, and people cheat all the time, as you can imagine. And what this allows you to do is, the technology itself allows you to prove, prove with some measure that this is really what happened. And what we do is we make that scalable, so it's not just the things you know about. Like, say, right now you would think, if you're some large entity that is putting your contracts on chain or something else, that makes sense, because I do all this work, then I put the contract on chain. That's valuable. The problem is all the things you aren't putting on chain, because you're still going to get sued, or still somebody's going to come after you for something that you just didn't happen to put on chain. And so what we do is, as a matter of course, say everything goes on chain. First of all, your own chain goes up through DragonNet. It's extremely hard. You can't compromise all those nodes because there's going to be thousands of nodes. And then when you get into either Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and then all the others that we're going to be adding, it's measured proof that something happened. And the fact that you can do it for fractions of a penny is all of a sudden scalable. The fact we have a lot of other answers to the volatility side, and to the network fees. We can do deterministic network fees. So we make it extremely easy for business to actually decentralize the data, but with the full safety of, you can't see my data. I can prove it to you if I want to give you the data, but in the meantime, I know it's where it is, and it's safe and it's provable. There's a lot more to it than that, but anyway, that's good. Best answer probably I can give. Next question. I heard that Dragonchain supports containerized smart contracts. Can you tell me more about that? So yes, we just moved, we refactored the smart contract engine primarily to be more flexible, but to also support on-prem and to do a bunch of other things. But as a byproduct, it's extremely interesting that technically we moved to OpenFOSS, which is function as a service, and what that allows us to do is say that you can put your smart contract into a container, it gets deployed to a Kubernetes cluster, and you can run any executable code. So we wouldn't care if it's C, C++, Bash shell, POSIX shell, Corn shell, Java, Python, it doesn't matter. The beauty then is anything you can write into a smart contract on Dragonchain. It's containerized. All the standards apply, Docker Hub, everything else. It's really good stuff. And we're just starting. We just did that about a month ago, I think. So we're just at the beginning. We're getting improved docs. We're moving as fast as we can to open source the whole thing so that you'll even have more access to do more things. It's really exciting, and it's pretty radically flexible. The fact that if you're a sysadmin and the boss asks, hey, I need this, you could put it on a smart contract on Dragonchain within minutes. I mean, most they can write shell scripts really fast, and if you don't have to write in a special language that's limited, I mean, it's amazing. So we're really hopeful that people get that, and as they start to see some of the demos that will be coming out, we'll be able to show it for real. This is how simple it is, right? I mean, pretty much anyone. There are always flavors. Or some people can't. How do I say? You can code, right? But you maybe you're not comfortable writing C++, right? Or particularly decentralized Solidity, right? It's like that's quite a leap. Whereas with this, you can say, oh, you can be a beginning dev and write something and make it work. I mean,